I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Triple H was out in Cedar Rapids this past last night with Sean Hannity, and what I thought was a 2-hour town hall meeting out there. The joint was packed with Iowans. And the thing that I found fascinating, I was watching it on Sean Hannity on Fox News last night. And the thing I found fascinating that Trump did not talk about in detail about the Target letter he got. And I asked myself, was Trump finally made the decision to have his lawyers finally begin to tame him and tell him to shut his mouth, and stop spewing all kind of things that just keep incriminating him? I think they finally reached him. Trump talked about a lot of things, that he could settle the Ukrainian war in 24 hours, and he's going to build another 100 miles of border. And he's talking a whole lot of that talk that Trump talk didn't normally talk. What I was thinking about, I was watching Sean Hannity, because Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson expressed in their private emails how they hate Trump. Yeah, Sean Hannity was looking at him last night. They were grinning at one another. I was reading Trump's mind last night, right? Trump was saying, I think Trump was looking at Sean Hannity and said, "You big hypocrite." And by the way, I used to like Sean Hannity. I did. When Trump came along and all these people began to bow down. In fact, Mr. Engineer, you have a clip of that out there where they were last night out there in Cedar Rapids with Sean and Triple H and Trump. Let's see what you got.
Now, today we learned that Biden's Department of Justice is likely pursuing even more charges against President Biden's chief political rival. According to Donald Trump, through Truth Social, he said Joe Biden's DOJ sent a letter that I am the target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and an indictment.
I got the letter on Sunday night. Think of it. I don't think they've ever sent a letter on Sunday night.
Who delivered?
And they're in a rush because they want to interfere. It's interference with the election. It's election interference. Never been done like this in the history of our country, and it's a disgrace. What's happening to our country, whether it's the borders or the elections or kinds of things like this, where the DOJ has become a weapon for the Democrats.
So it went on like this. It's just back and forth, Trump constant rhetoric and Sean licking it up. I think that, I was looking at Trump and, trying to see if I could read the tea leaves of his face, what's going on. Because all these indictments coming, and this is the most serious one of all, how that is affecting him psychologically, cognitively. And it looks to me like he was looking at Sean Hannity saying, y'all people at Fox News, all y'all want to do is use me to make money. Now, I make a lot of money for you. That's how come you got me out here. This hall is packed because people want to come see me and hear me. Y'all use me to make money, and then you turn around and stab me in the back. That's what I thought Trump was saying. Anyway. So now he's facing several charges: conspiracy to defraud the United States, which would carry a sentence, 20 years. Tampering with the witness that could be obstruction, which carries 10 to 20 years as well. I'm not sure. Deprivation of under the color of law. I'm not sure what the deprivation is. Deprivation of the ongoing procedures of the democracy. These are three of the things that are likely that we're going to hear that will come out in the indictment when Trump is indicted. And so he acts as if, or acted as if last night, he acted as if that he's not going to be talking so much now. He's going to listen to his lawyers. But I think that it really doesn't matter. Trump has one option and none option. He has a one option and a none option. The one option he has is to become president again. And how possible is that he can actually win the presidency? He can probably win the nomination, but you got to watch. He's got both Fox News, who is sneakily fighting him, and they are sneakily fighting him. He got the liberal media, Washington Post, New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, that hates his living guts. They're promoting people like, Tim Scott. They're promoting, who else? Vivek Ramaswamy. They're promoting They're promoting anybody, and they're also trying to tear down, if you will, Senator Governor DeSantis from down in Florida. But Trump has one chance and none chance. So it really doesn't matter what he says now. Doesn't matter if he goes and confess. That's right. I called insurrection. I called them to Washington on the 6th of January. I told them to hang Mike Pence. I told them to disrupt the process if Pence don't do the thing he's supposed to do. Yeah, I told them. Yes, that's right. I told them to come armed. I told them to come strapped, ready and ready. Trump can stand up and say, yeah, you do it on Fox News. Yeah, you can do it on CNN. Their head will be on fire. Yeah, I told them to come. Because right now it don't matter. Right now it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. He can say that. It won't get him in any more trouble than he's already in. His only chance is to become president again. Now, if he can win the presidency again, which he possibly can do, if he can win the presidency again, he can just null and void all that, right? He can shuffle the deck and push all that stuff out into the Atlantic Ocean on a sewage barge. And it's over with. And then he could just be president. He could be President Tribulation Trump doing whatever he wants to do, and ain't nobody can stop him. That's his one opportunity. Forget about the indictments. Forget about going to court. Forget about having a winning strategy in court. Forget about that. That ain't gonna work. If Trump is relying on winning in court, he done lost his mind. That boy, there ain't no way that Trump gonna win nothing. He ain't gonna win a dogfight in court. It's over with. So I suspect that he knows that. And what he's doing is saying, well, okay, all right, I got to win the presidency. I might as well go all in. Now, I tell you, he's got 35% of the Republican electorate. Is that enough to get him the president? It's enough to get him it's enough to get him the nomination. Is it enough to get him the electorate? The president, the election of the president is enough to do that. The thing of it is that if he runs against Joe Biden, now the Democrats are sick and tired of Joe Biden. In fact, Joe Biden was talking to the Israeli president yesterday, and the boy fell asleep. I swear, I didn't say he fell asleep right there in the White House talking, and either that or he's on that cocaine. Now, cocaine keeps you awake. Now, cocaine is a up drug. It makes you stay awake, so he ain't using coke. Joe Biden fell asleep. Mr. Engineer, do you have that clip? Joe Biden was talking and fell asleep right there like he was, sleep talking. Watch this.
And we brought Israelis and Palestinians together at a political level, and Aqua and as well as Shram.
We had to slow it down so you didn't get the real impression of it. But most of y'all have seen it. Most people the Democrats want Joe Biden out of there, and I think Joe ought to go. I don't think he's ready. The problem is, don't bring up Camelback ain't Black Harris. That's the other thing. We ain't heard nothing from her. It's also almost like Camelback ain't Black Harris has just disappeared off the face of the earth. I think so. When the Chinese sent that balloon across America, I think they picked up Camelback Black Harris and dropped her off the coast of South Carolina. Now, I'm not threatening the life of the vice president. We just said I did. But no, so Trump has, he has the opportunity to win the presidency, and his trouble's over. If he doesn't win the presidency, that boy going to jail. It says, a lot of people say, well, do you think if he gets convicted in any of these trials that they'll send him to jail because he's a former presidency and he's close to 80 years old? Would they send him to jail? Yeah. I mean, they would have to send him to jail because he's going to get convicted in New York. He's going to get convicted in, I don't know about whether Eileen Cannon is going to let that trial actually be held in such a way as that, it'll happen after or before the election. So I'm a little concerned about whether he'll be convicted in Florida, Fort Pierce. But he's definitely going to be convicted in Washington with Jack Smith. and the insurrection at the on the assault on the Temple of Democracy, they're gonna definitely arrest him on that. You can hang your hat on that. And Fannie Willis is after him too. Now Fannie Willis down in Atlanta, Georgia, she had told all the judges down there to clear their calendars because you're gonna be running a cattle call. People like Giuliani, Lindsey Graham, Mark Meadows, and Trump, and a bunch of other people, all going to be indicted, and we're waiting for that to happen. It could happen, what's today? By the end of this month, July. Certainly by the 1st of August, all that's going to. So, you know, if you got your, I don't know what to say about how Americans will respond to this. I think there's been riot fatigue. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of disturbances in the streets. Black Lives Matter ain't got nothing to do. They're all somewhere now enjoying all that money they got from George Floyd's death. You know, the Black Lives Matter leader, they got rich off of George Floyd's death. Al Sharpton picked up several million, and Al the buzzard, Sharpton picked up several million from George Floyd's death. That boy set for life. And that boy, what's his name, Ben the Undertaker Crump, he also picked up a whole lot of money from George Floyd's death. So Black Lives Matter, they ain't doing nothing now. They got too much money to be out the street marching about anything. When their bank accounts get low, you might see them stir up something, and then they back out there in the street hooping and hollering about something. At any rate, everybody, So maybe Trump has decided he's going to go silent, but I don't think that's going to help him. Trump, you might as well just say what you got to say, man. Just go ahead and say what you got to say. What that boy, say what you got to say. Say what the song. I can't come. This the songwriter. Say what you got to say, man. Well, now I'm not promoting Trump saying anything. I am not supporting Trump. I am not for Trump. I've called him pathological. As a liar, I called the man as cognitively off the chain. Almighty God has said he is the trigger of the tribulation. He's going to cause more trouble than earthquakes itself when everything hits the fan. And I don't mean to be ugly, suggesting to you any immoral or distasteful metaphors about the fan. However, Mike Pence, you know, I used to like Mike Pence, but it shows that my like was terribly misguided. I'll tell you the absolute truth. He thinks he's praying that Trump does get convicted so he can become president. Anyway, everybody, I'm James F. Manning. I'm the Lord servant. Trump, go ahead and say what you got to say, man. Say on. Say what you got to say, boy.